All right, let's make a formal introduction for our listener. Good afternoon, Attila. My name is Claudio, and I'm calling you from Washington, D.C., from the studios in Fairfax City. We're very humble and grateful that Attila Égerházi accepted our invitation to the show. Attila, welcome to the show.
Welcome to everybody. Nice to be here.
Same here. Very, very happy that Chain Red Records, so they're recording, put us in touch because I've been following your career and the band for many, many years. And so we will have a good conversation, and this very likely is going to be part one of many. They will cast your journey into this crazy world that we live in. So let's go back to the beginning. Were you born like in a musical family? How old were you when you perhaps began taking, piano lesson, guitar lesson? You were a little kid, maybe 7 years old.
My father was a painter artist, so I got a big influence from him in the visual art. And my mother's father, my grandfather, was a musician. He was a conductor, and he could play on all kinds of instruments. So I think I got the inspiration in my vein from him, loving music and create music. So these two things, the visual art, paintings, drawings, and playing guitar and making music, was a little bit struggling in me. But at the end, the music was the winner. So when I was 6 or 7, I started to play on my brother's guitar. He was 12 years older than me, so he already had a guitar, and he already had a record collection. So I started listening music of his collection, records like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd. So when I was 7 or 8, I was a big fan of Pink Floyd.
Wow,
and, at first, I've heard Genesis in 76. So, and I immediately fall in love with the album "Selling England by the Pound." I was just 10. So that was my musical influence in the beginning. And I started to play on my brother's guitar. He taught me some chords, and I started to learn on my own. But later I went to a classical guitar teacher, and I got several lessons, play some classical music. I played some Bach and this kind of authors when I was 12, 13, 14.
Perfect. And then, so when you were like equivalent of here, high school, between the ages of 14 or 18, you were in a particular band? You were playing with the other kids in high school and friends?
Mm-hmm. Yes, before the high school, just before I founded the band, and we were two, so it was a duo, and we called it Little Band.
Yeah.
And we recorded some music. My friend Zsolt played on piano, and this record took an attention my classmates in the high school later, and they asked me to join the band they formed.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of intellectual punk when I also did some singing and everything. So it was a really free in mind, a little bit psychedelic. And then my neighbor just next door also played a classical guitar. His name was Peter Poshafali, and he suggested me to form a guitar duo. It was in 82, and we started to play on our music guitar compositions. And years later, he suggested to make a real band with some other players. And another neighbor was a flute player, and she also joined. Her name was Judith. And there was also another guy from Peter's class called Attila. He played on keyboards. So that was the first real band for me. It was the Novus Jam. The band name was Novus Jam, and without any drummer or percussion, just 2 guitars, keyboard, and then flute. And I have to tell, we wrote a lot of compositions that time, and later I used many from that period on Djabe records over the years. So this beginning was very, very important for me, and later I took over the direction of the band from my friend who left Novus Jam, and this band led later to Djabe. So it was a continuous movement for me in the music. Play with my band Novus Jam, and then with 2 guys from the band we decided to establish Djabe in 1995.
Excellent. When you finished high school, you were 18 or so years old. Do you have a lot of family pressure to go to university, to go to a technical school and forget about music? Your parents telling you, hey, don't be a musician, you're not going to make any money, you're going to be poor, or you have a lot of encouragement for your parents to do what you wanted to do in life?
They never made me any pressure on me what to do, what about study or any job, but that moment I didn't think I have to be a professional musician. So I started a technical university in Budapest. I studied architecture.
Yep.
The reason was my other side, my father's vision heritage. So I wanted to make drawings, and I'm really interested in design houses and different kind of buildings. So I thought I had to do this, but during the university time, I also worked with the band. We had some shows. It was quite of a semi-professional act, not a real professional act, but we also had the flute player, and she already studied at the University of Music. She learned, she wanted to be a professional musician, and as now she is. After the university, I got another direction, because that was the time when the Russians went out from Hungary and the communist system collapsed here. It was 1990 and 1995. And it was a little bit like America, 100 or more, many years ago. We had a lot of opportunity to establish companies and do jobs, what we like, what we want. So with my friends from the high school, we decided to start a film company. So we started to make commercials. Commercials for companies just started in Hungary or Hungarian new companies. And we were very successful. And in 2 years, I found myself in different recording studios, recording different films, commercials, radio, TV ads. And I realized, but to work in a studio is not so far as I thought. So I put together the band, and I started to work on the first album we released with the old band Novus Jam in 1994. And then from then, my main activity is the music.
Perfect, excellent. How you, today we want to definitely concentrate in the latest album that is coming out. It's going to be released on April 28th by Esoteric Antenna. For now, distributed by J-Red Records. How you ended up meeting Steve Hackett some years ago?
Steve was one of my heroes. As I mentioned, when I was 10, I fall in love with Genesis, especially Steve, because his guitar sound and technique in the first track of Selling England by the Pound, it was amazing for me, and totally, it's blown mind for me, and I followed his solo career as well. It was, for me, was as important as Genesis, and during the 90s, his records disappeared from, and later I learned he quit with the major label, the EMI, and he started his own record label. And when the internet came into my life, approximately in 1995, I found his own record label, Camino Records, on the internet, and I started to buy records from online from this record label. As I remember, they had a web shop, but I'm not sure. Maybe they just had a form to fill in what you like to buy.
Yeah.
And another important thing, I started on my own record label 1994, and it went very well. And I also released albums for Hungarian musicians, mainly jazz, world music, and classical music. But I thought, if I have a international artist, I can do better result in the business, and I can build a bigger company. So when I realized there is no distribution for Camino Records in Hungary, I offered Steve's then manager, Billy Buddies, I offered to distribute Camino Records in Hungary, and he liked the idea, so we started the business with Camino Records. Some of these records now I think belong to Shady Red, like Blues with a Feeling, which was the most successful album we distributed in Hungary ever. Incredible, successful, and in 2000 I went to London when I had a big order. I decided to go to London, collect in my car, and I asked Billy to arrange for me an interview with Steve to promote the current album, which was Sketches of Sati.
Yeah.
And that during this interview, I met Steve, and maybe John. No, John wasn't there. I met John later. So we had a nice conversation. I made an interview. It was a good support in Hungary that some television distributed it, broadcasted it. So it was the first time I met Steve, and I also met him a few other times. And one time I gave him a record from my band. It was the Witchi, released 1998, and it's always a question: what if you give to a well-known musician your own record and you are not nobody? What will the reaction? Listen to it or not, or just say some polite words? Okay, thank you, it's nice. But it was a surprise for me. Steve, I don't remember he phoned me or called or wrote a letter, but he liked very much the album, the Witchi, and he also liked the presentation, the quality, and there were some parts on the video on one CD, which was a video. It was a new technology then combine the music and some video on it. Maybe it was the name Enhanced CD. And he also I watched the live clips we put on, and I think it was kind of a beginning. I put myself on his radar, and it was in 2000, as I remember, 2000, and the selling his albums went very well in Hungary, and I decided to organize shows for him. And 2002, beginning 2002, they had an acoustic tour with his brother John and Roger King, a trio, acoustic trio, and I booked him in a prestigious Hungarian concert hall, and it was a huge success. It was sold out, and I also offered him recordings. Later, it released like the Hungarian Horizons. I put together the stage production and recorded the audio and the video, and I was the person who cut it together. So maybe Ben Fenner mixed it in London, but the video done here in Budapest.
Yeah.
And when this show happened, a day before, there was an event when journalists could come here, make an interview with Steve. The same place where I'm now, in the office. And on the walls, you now not seen, but maybe if I move, there is a paintings there over there.
Yeah, and the back, yeah.
Yeah, my father's paintings. He was a painter artist, and Steve very much liked the paintings on the wall. And he mentioned his father was also a painter artist.
Correct.
And, we found another common ground for us to talk and understand each other. And unfortunately, my father died around this show, and we decided with my longtime partner in the band, Tamás Barabás, the bass guitar and arranger, recording engineer, that we will dedicate a whole album to my father's art. And we made an album in a concept, one paintings, one song. And we put down paintings or photos of the paintings on the table and wrote music. So it was a very unique for us, and it was very inspiring. Both of us write music and visual art. So a little bit my previous influences, my previous multi-art background, it come together on one platform. And I asked Steve to play on the album. And it was not so easy because his then manager, Billy Budis, didn't like the idea. And we communicated via Billy, not directly. But I had Steve's home address because when we mixed the Hungarian Horizons, I visited him at his home.
Yeah.
And I wrote a letter to Steve and asked, would you please to play on the album we wrote in memory of my father? And it was Christmas Eve when he phoned me and said, yes, Attila, I do it. So it was a fairy tale thing for me, and was a very, very emotional start of our common history, our joint venture in music.
Wow, amazing story. Yeah, I have been able to interview Steve several times, and his brother John Hackett, and very, very good people, very good family. And I'm happy that your dad was a painter as well, like Steve's dad. So you had a lot of common ground there, and a lot of love for music. And I was listening to the album yesterday. How you pronounce Győr? Is how you pronounce that?
It has a special Hungarian letter. It's Győr.
Yeah.
Too difficult. The first is J, the second
Yeah.
the second R. So it's Győr.
Okay, I will try my best. The live in Győr.
Live in Győr.
Yeah, it's a new album with Steve, and that's going to be, as I said before, released on April 28 by Esoteric. What can you tell us about the album? And I believe it was recorded in 2022, correct?
Yes, it's the tour we did together with Steve last year was very, very great for all of us, including Steve, Djabe, and the crew. So we always had a great time together, and we did great shows. But this was very, very unique because we had to wait for 3 years. We planned the tour together 2020, but it's not happened because of the COVID. 2021 almost happened, but the UK regulation not allowed for Steve move easily in and out from UK to Europe and back. So we had to postpone the tour to 2022. And we also had other difficulties caused of the Brexit, because there was now there is a problem to move equipment through the border, through the European border, and when he is coming to Hungary or coming for joining us, he is not touring with his own regular stuff. They can arrange everything with the transport and douane and everything. So and in addition, the roadie should come with them a few days before the flight. Said, I'm not available. It was John Armitage. He said I'm not available. It was very, very strange. We never heard back him anymore. So it was no person who can help Steve and Joe to handle the equipment. So we found the guitar here, and we found all the equipment here. He just brought some small things, small effect pedals.
Yeah.
So it was also it is just it turned out 1 or 2 days before they left from London. So it was a really, and he uses a very, very special kind of guitar with the Fernandez pickup and other things. So everything was really, really shocking. And I said to Steve and Joe, listen, now everything is really, really shocked, and it looks very bad. But okay, let's turn everything. This will be very, very great. And this attitude spread to all the members, everybody, and the energy of this tour was really, really great, and we had very good times, and also the lyrical parts worked very well. It was a really big surprise for me. We played a lot of very quiet, calm tunes from the Back to Sardinia and Life is a Journey, and the crowd liked very much. Sometimes bigger applause than the more energetic tracks like Buzzy Island or Ace of Wands. So it was really, really, really special.
Yeah, how the people attending the concert like the gift? You guys did. It was filmed or recorded over like a 3-4 night, or it was only one show that they...
What on the Blu-ray as the main feature is the one concert. We had 2 shows only in Budapest at the same venue. But the Győr was the last one.
Yeah.
So the band felt we were a little bit tired and it was not the best, but we recorded all the shows in audio, and I listened back all, and I realized Győr was the most accurate. We played, maybe we missed some very special, energetic small parts, but we played the best at the last night. So so it was the last show of the tour, only one, and no overdubs. So what you can hear in the recording, about what happened. Of course, we mixed it to have the greatest audio we can have.
Yeah, I was listening to the CD, right? I don't have the Blu-ray yet, and but it was great. It was unbelievable, very, very good. I was very happy, and I saw a small video on YouTube last night. It's like a 2-minute long or something, and it's excellent music, man. Very, very good.
Yeah, I'm very happy with your opinion.
Oh yeah.
And we also put some bonus tracks in addition to the main program. Yeah. We played every night. We played the blues, and it was improvised. And we added the blues from Olomouc, from Czech Republic. Yeah. And another version of Night in Kastelzárdo from Debrecen. And the Blu-ray contains 1 hour extras, the 22 minutes video. It's a kind of work film about the tour. Footages from all the venues, sound checks, sometimes from the shows. There are also a few complete long tracks as well. And some other, we included the screen films. We projected different films during the program. Some of them made on my own. I like to work with old Super 8 cameras, and I use these Super 8 cameras as a background projection during the shows. Also, we included that, and we included one song we didn't play in Győr. We just played at the first venue in Vienna, but we dropped because the show was too long. So, but we also mixed this Vienna version of Klaus Dance, and you can see a video version of this, and also we included it on the CD as well.
Yeah, I will need to get. I will need to send you money to get the Blu-ray from you guys. Like get a couple copies for the band to sign and everybody. So I would like to get a copy of that as well, because I only have the CD at this moment. So I need to buy it. And so you have a long collaboration with Steve. I mean. You have, as many studios, cooperation, live release it on Esoteric as well, right?
Yeah, it started with the album Sheafs Are Dancing. I've already mentioned 2003.
Yeah.
And 2004 we had a show in London together. Yeah. It was not so advertised. It was in arrangement of the Hungarian Cultural Institute in London. They booked some shows at the club Spitz, and the organizer Peter Palai, who formerly worked at BBC, and he was a high school teacher of Steve as well.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yes. It's another interesting story, and I was the person who bring them back together again. So Peter organized the shows that time from Hungary to London, and he asked Steve to join us, and it was a memorable event. It was the first time we played together, and then the cooperation became more serious by the unacceptable event, which was very sad. My friend, whom I established the band, András Sipos, he was a percussion player, and unexpectedly he died. He was just 43.
Very young. Yeah, wow.
Young, and it shocked everybody. And Steve found me when he heard from Billy that what happened. He phoned me. How can I? He was very, very sad and asked me, how can I help you? And I said, it's a good time you phoned me, because we are organizing a charity event for Sheafs' family. He left 3 small kids under 6 years. So we want to help for the family, and we also want to make a memorial event for him. And he came over to Budapest, and he asked nothing. He bought his flight ticket. He arranged his hotel. So we really got a big addition for collecting some money for the family. And the show was very unique, because we played more than 4 hours. 4 hours.
Wow.
And it was so the energy of Sheepy. We called András, the percussion player, Sheepy.
Yeah.
Was among us. We felt him, and not only Steve joined, another well-known Hungarian musicians we never played before joined to us. And just an example how strong was this evening. One of the well-known Hungarian saxophone player, Misi Dresch, had a concert at a club. He is a jazz player, and he had a concert at sometimes like 9:30 at the jazz club with his own band. And we started the show at 7:30, so he could play in the first part. But when we made an interval around 9 o'clock, he came to me and said, I don't want to go to play at my concert. May I stay here?
Wow.
And I said, okay, just stay and come on stage whenever you want. And there was a song we played with the video. We used Sheepy's video on a screen, and we played his parts on percussion, and all the band played along with him. And during this time, he got up on stage, but it was not easy, because we couldn't stop the video, and everything was really organized. But it worked very well. He just come in the right place. He could join in and left, and also came a few times when Steve did the solos and they were played together, and it was very, 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 very strong moments. Steve improvised a lot on Djabe tunes. That time we didn't play any Genesis or Steve Hackett. He just joined us. He played his own solo part, acoustic. Yeah. But the rest was to play the song we recorded together 2003, and he improvised. And it went very well. Next morning, I got a phone call from him. He was still in Budapest, and he said he was really impressed what happened last night, and he thinks Sheepy we really touched Sheepy, and it was great. And he asked me, is it possible to play with you more guys?
Yeah, wow.
It was, for me, it was kind of I don't know how to say, because my old hero asked me, I want to play with you. So that's
amazing. Yeah.
That was really amazing. And in the beginning, we had some invitation jazz festivals like Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, and Penang Island, and different places, former Yugoslavian countries. And I asked Steve to join us for these shows, and it was a start of how our common musical activities and setlist improved. First, we played a few things we done together, and he joined to the Djabe tunes. He played some on his own, but later on, everything became more integrated. We started to play a few Steve Hackett, like the steps, and we asked him what he suggests from the Genesis material, and he suggested Indent Quieters, the version he played with his own band at Los Angeles. So everything started to grow, and a few years later, we played on each other's album. We played on his Out of the Tunnel's Mouth album, and Genesis Revisited 2 as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, those are great albums. Yeah.
And from 2012, from the Down on That album, he played on all Djabe records, 1 or 2 or 3 numbers. And we also had our joint recordings, the Sardinian albums, and the first album, Djabe and Steve Hackett, special guest Steve Hackett in the footsteps of Attila and Genghis, and It Is Never the Same Twice, and we had live albums together. The Journey Continues, you see here, and the Budapest live tapes. So we have many albums together.
Beautiful, beautiful story. My understanding, I think it's Steve going to be playing with you guys some show this year as well, or no?
This year?
Yeah.
Yes,
no.
yes. He also
he's coming, right? Yeah.
He's coming. We have a tour in June. So we start in Budapest 15th of June. In Budapest, which is sold out. It became sold out yesterday, and we will have another show 16. So the second day in Budapest. Yeah. And we go to Slovakia. From Slovakia to Vienna, Austria, and back to Hungary, Győr. We play again in Győr, and we finish the tour in Romania, Timișoara.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. Yeah. I'm happy for you guys, and feel free to elaborate, because you end up making, like you mentioned, two albums, the Sardinia tapes, as well as Back to Sardinia. Feel free to elaborate how this idea came about, and then how it developed, and so on and so forth. Yeah,
the Sardinian things is it has a special story, because every year I organize 1 or 2 short tours with Steve. Normally he could join us 7-10 days, and Joe and Steve, and the 2016 was a difficult year for Djabe, because longtime members, Ferenc Kovács and Zoltán Kovács, the keyboard and the violin and trumpet players, wanted to quit the band, and it didn't work very well. So I was a little bit disappointed, but everything was going on, and I didn't want a tour which can disappoint Steve, and I did not organize a tour for 2016. But 2 months before June, when we had the dates, 3 days from Steve, he asked me and asked, and he said, "You didn't send out the venues, the tour program where we will play." And I said, we don't play this year. We don't have a tour this year. And I felt he was disappointed on the other end of the phone. So I realized that this connection, this partnership, what we are doing it's not just to play a few gigs. It was a kind of a deep friendship between us and the band. But I felt I can't do this, not to see each other. He asked me, we don't see each other this year. I said to Steve, okay, let me a day, I call you back.
Yeah.
And I was in a swimming pool. I just started to swim. And I started to thinking on what can we do within the 2 months. It is very short time to organize a tour. And that time one of my friends started apartments in North Sardinia. And the idea came about that let's travel to Sardinia, and where they had the apartments. It is there is an old church called Nostra di Signora di Tergu, and I know the priest very well. He was a big Genesis fan, otherwise, and he provided a room for us to record near the church. So I thought this should be a very, very interesting thing to travel there and bring all studio equipment, build a temporary studio, and record their music. We didn't wrote, just improvise, and we see what comes. I knew that Steve is a very, very, very good improviser, and as my other mates. So rest of the band and some new guys, Aaron on trumpet, who became later the trumpeter of the Djabe, and but we didn't have a drummer. We also decided to fire the drummer 2016. So we were just two of us in Djabe, Tamás, the bass player, and me. So we asked one of my best friend from the group Mezzoforte, Gulli Breen, who just lived next door in Budapest, and he's Icelandic otherwise. But 5 of us flew to Sardinia, and the rest is kind of a history of Djabe and Steve. This fantastic album. We just really just started to play without any written material, and it worked very well. I think one of the best things I ever done. These albums, Life is a Journey, the Sardinia tapes, and the Back to Sardinia, which was a repeated experience 3 years later.
Yeah, beautiful story, man. Had been, as you know, right, a lot of it's amazing how life works, right? So from you, when you were a little kid, liking the music of Genesis and liking the record where Steve ended up playing, and then later on, many years down the road, turning into a good friendship and then play with him in many gigs. It's amazing how life works, right? I mean,
yeah, it's absolutely one of the biggest moments in my life. I was really died as a kid when I heard the first or fifth guitar solo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was like my epitaph or something like that.
Yeah.
And when I first played with him on stage, I couldn't believe it. I'm just playing with him. He's next to me, 1 meter from me, and I've heard this signature guitar sound from the monitor and from his amp on the stage, and when we finished it, he turned to me and asked what's next, or just sometimes he was waiting for my signs any kind of signs what's the next or what happened when he needs to came into the song.
Yeah.
So it's really unbelievable. Unbelievable, and many other things that like we recorded the album The Magic Stag, and Joe and Steve wrote the lyrics, and we made a video clip together. So we have a video clip together. It's also very unbelievable and huge things for me.
Amazing. You know that when I opened during the pandemic, I mean, I have a big music collection, right? And so I've been listening to music 2 hours a day for the last 50 years. I have some stuff that you see in the bed, but I have 4th floor full of music.
Mhm.
And during the pandemic, I opened the radios and I sent the link to some friends. They like it, and I opened another one, and so on and so forth. So I thought, well, if the musicians are not touring, everybody must be at home with nothing to do because you couldn't tour. So I end up emailing Steve, and Steve Hackett. It was my first interview. The first one was Steve Hackett. So I'm very grateful to him, and over the year I have seen him many times, and I'm going to be going to Latin America in August. He's going to be playing with a band from Argentina called Genetics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know them, but they're very, very good as well. And then after that, Steve is coming here in October, November to play here in the United States. So I'm going to be seeing him several times here. So it's a very good person. It's a very, very good guy. His brother John also, good family. Very, very humble person.
Yeah.
If you see a Steve walking down the street, you wouldn't know that. He used to be a member of Genesis. So
I have a very nice story for you.
Go ahead.
We had a tour. I think it was 1917, and we are coming from Slovakia to Hungary, and the road was blocked because of an accident, the highway, and we had to go down to a normal road, and we were very slow because of all the traffic went down from the highway, from the motorway on the small roads, and we stopped at a small things like a hot dog maker. Just you could eat a few small things on near the road, and there were two or three guys sitting in a pub. It's a village pub. You see very simple persons drinking beers and all kinds of alcohol, and just near this hot dog. And one of the guys, a little bit drunk, came to me. I stand just near Steve, and he asked me, "Is this guy from the Genesis, the Steve Hackett?" And I said, "Yes, he is." "Oh, go to hell. I don't believe it. He's not Steve." But he was.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
very nice.
Yeah.
So people recognized him, but didn't believe that it's Steve at his village near the pub.
Yeah. No, amazing. It's good people and humble people. It's great. Some not every musician is like that, but Stephen and his brother John, they're very, very good people. So I'm happy that you met him, that you fulfilled your dreams in many ways, and still playing better and better with with age. I mean, the guy is unbelievable. He's still touring a lot. He's still playing, and Steve has a lot of energy, and hopefully we'll see Steve and Djabe playing with you guys for many, many, many years. You cannot retire. Your music is too good.
Yeah, one of the most interesting when we are touring together. My bandmates, something like from end of their 30s until I am the oldest, 57.
Yeah.
So we are relatively younger than Steve, but
Yeah.
Steve never complained about the bus rides and getting up early or something like that. My bandmates, the Djabe guys, sometimes complaining they're tired or something like that. Steve never. He is a really strong in touring and everything. So he's unbelievably young, unbelievable.
He has a lot of energy. All right, that's great.